Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for making the time to attend our webinar today. Today, we're going to be spending some time and talking about Totango metrics and how to implement them, how to take advantage of that powerful capability, and how to run some processes with that in Totango. For those of you that don't have metrics or are not familiar with that section, it's actually part of our Professional Pro Plus package. So if you, for some reason, don't see that in your user interface, it's probably because you don't have the Pro Plus. So just reach out to us and we'll be happy to help you in getting that enabled. So for those of you that are not familiar with me, I'm Cecilia Tevel. I run the customer success programs here at Totango. I've been here for just a little bit over 3 years and enjoying working with all of you and making your life a little bit easier with the help of Totango. If you have any questions after the session or anytime, you can reach out to me directly just by emailing me at cecilia@totango.com, just my first name at totango.com, and I'll be happy to reply and keep in touch. So as far as the agenda for today, what we're going to spend some time on is kind of talking about the decision-making process as far as what metrics to use and how to configure Totango to expose them in the user interface. Also, we'll be creating some impactful custom metrics that can help drive ROI or expose some of the key ROI metrics for you guys to take a look at. And there's some examples in our demo instance that already have some cool metrics that I can show you just to get you guys some ideas. And then we'll talk about leveraging metrics to run programs. So we can run programs via campaigns. So those are the external customer communications to your customers, and also SuccessPlays, which are the internal processes that you can execute automatically for your customer success department. So if we start thinking about what your key metrics are, and this is very specific to the type of business you're in, and it really depends on what data we're tracking in Totango, but some examples that I listed out here, credits used versus credits consumed. So with a metric, you can actually create a formula and you can come up with that threshold. You can come up with that number of utilization. And then you can track that utilization. Is it going up? Is it going down? Do we need to, be proactive? Is there some sort of risk concern? Or is this an upsell opportunity for us? So you can look at it from both angles, where being an opportunity or being some sort of potential risk. The second one, tickets sold versus total tickets available. So in a company that potentially helps sell online tickets, and the volume of tickets available is our total, but then we want to measure ourselves against how many tickets we sell, and we can compute that utilization. We can strive to get better at that, and then we can run programs. Storage utilized versus storage allocated. So that's another one. These are all pretty straightforward ones based on the data that we'll have. So if we have the metrics that you're sending to us with those specific numbers, we can easily compute those thresholds. Another one is email sent versus volume allocated. So how much volume, as far as how many emails can a customer send versus how many did they send? So are they getting closer to their capacity? Do we need to sell them more volume? So these are all very good ways to identify potential upsell opportunities, and again, also identify risk. So those are just some examples. Again, if you have very specific business needs around this, we can discuss what could be a good way for you to position and use the metrics capability to define it specifically for your needs. So I have some screenshots, and we'll also see some of this in the demo. But basically, is one of the areas where you can really leverage the metrics is in the team performance console, which is under the executive console in the left navigation panel. So if you look at where my arrow is pointing, there's a metric that is configured and defined in the system that we have customized and exposed to track to. So we have the average time spent per active user. And so let's say for our business, it's important for our customers to spend at least a certain amount of minutes in the product. And we are tracking to that. So that's our key performance indicator for our team. And we look at each CSM and their performance for that particular KPI. So you can see, Hanover here had the pretty good increase of 47%. But everybody else had a dip. So how do we, work around that? How do we build processes? How do we make sure that, we're doing something to correct? So you have the capability to exposing a couple of metrics for yourself, for your team as well. So whatever those important metrics are that are key for your business, they can be easily exposed, and you can have visibility as to how your team is doing. Another way to use the metrics is, this is in our segments area where you can create, customized filters. So this particular filter is looking at the average time drop above 30%. So if there's an average time spent per user decrease by at least 30% in the last 2 weeks, and you can see a couple of arrows, one on the top and one looking at the column of average time spent, where you can actually see the specific percentage drop per customer. For this particular thing, this can allow me to basically monitor and see which customers are falling into this particular bucket of this huge drop. And then I can also run programs. So I can execute success plays, I can build campaigns, I can do a whole number of things to leverage this data. Moving on to the next thing. So again, the SuccessPlay capability would allow us to actually build a process. So if our average time drop per user drops by over 30%, I want to actually specify the process for my CSM team to execute. So I'm defining it here, and I can basically say what the customer success manager needs to do. And I'm just telling them to reach out to customer. There's a significant drop in the time spent per user. This can be very granular. You can really define, the specific interaction that you want your CSM to take here. But basically it allows you to automate that. You don't need to every time check into each account to see how they're doing on this particular metric. If there's a specific decrease or increase of something above or below the threshold that you're comfortable with, you can define a process to automatically inform your team. So that's SuccessPlay. Now, what I like about the metrics is that it really allows you to identify some upsell opportunities. So if we have, let's say, an average time spent per user increase, then maybe we want to actually automate an upsell. So we can do that with the campaign. So if we are going to message to our customers directly and maybe allow them to buy extra time, if that's how we're, packaging our product. I can also build a success play. So I'm pointing, there's an arrow on the right side of the screenshot with a little play icon that takes you directly into building success plays. If I wanted to build a campaign, I would actually leverage the logic of this segment and infuse it into my campaign. And I'll show you that in a second. So with that, actually, I'm going to get directly into the demo and walk you through some of this directly in the product. So right now I'm just on the home page, but to find the metrics, they are going to be within the settings section. So if you are not an administrative user of Totango, you will not have visibility to the settings section, but I will show you how this process works. So metrics are right here. And if I click on it, as I mentioned, we already have a bunch of pretty neat examples here. And they can be really specific to your business. Let me show you one that I like that is pretty neat. This is the one that we've been using, the average time spent per active user. The way that is computed, we take the overall time spent, this is in minutes in the last 14 days, and we simply divide it by the number of active users in the last 14 days, and it gives us that number. There's this interesting one that can really be used for any type of situation and based on the specific interactions that we're tracking in your product. In this particular case, we're tracking tasks. So what we're trying to do is find the average number of tasks per active user. So we're simply looking at an activity that somebody performs, which is creating a task, and we're getting a count of that in the last 7 days. And we're dividing that by the number of active users in the last 7 days. So again, with this, we can also take that threshold and say, well, if we have a dip of that over a certain percentage across their customer base, then we definitely want to get in touch with them. But if we see a huge spike, somebody is really performing and their average number of active tasks per user is going up a lot, maybe, it could be a potential upsell opportunity. So there's a lot of interesting ways to leverage metrics. The building process is very easy. So when you click on add metric, you can give it a name. You can define whether it's number or decimal currency percent. This is going to be a number. What I'm going to do, and this is just an easy one that I'll just take. So basically the same one that we've been using with overall time spent. I'm grabbing it here. I have my operators at the top, so I'm going to divide it by the number of active users in the last 14 days. I can also adjust my time frame. So if I'm interested in maybe just a 7-day period, I can do that. You have all the options of the 1, 3, 7, 14, 30, and 90. Once I've defined my metrics, I can save it, and then it will be available for me to use in all the different areas that I've outlined to you within segments, SuccessPlays, campaigns, etc. So right now what we're going to do, let's go to the segment section, and I already have some segments defined here that I can show you. And we'll go into metrics. So I have a couple that I've leveraged. So I have that metric with average drop by 30%, average time dropped by over 30, and then average time increased by 30. So if I go to this one, basically my filter conditions are saying that if I have a user average time increased by at least 30% in the last 14 days, and I have a paying customer, my results are available to me here, and I can customize these columns. So actually, if there's anything else that I would want to expose as far as data points or any other data that is being sent to Totango as attributes, maybe you want to look at it by the tier of the customer and you want to see exactly what tier the customer is in, you can actually expose that and bring that value into this results page. But at the minimum, I have the total number of minutes here, and right next to it, I actually have the specific percentage of how much it increased by. So it's a really nice way to visualize this information. From here, what I can do, and that's part of the operationalization component of Totango, is build a process. So I can either execute a success play if I want my success team to proactively reach out to the customer about this increase and have a conversation, maybe an upsell conversation. I can also automate this process so that I can send an email automatically to the end user here and maybe have them self-service. So if there's an upsell process that you have, that can be easily accomplished with an email where somebody clicks on an email and goes through a process of getting more of something. That's also a nice way to for leveraging campaigns. But let me show you really quick how to start a quick success play directly from here. So with any segment, as I mentioned, you have this little play icon that takes you directly into the building of the success play directly from the UI without having to rebuild any of the logic that is already available. So we've already built this logic, so now you don't have to do that again. You have your preview of your segment, you have a quick glance into the customers that fall into that segment, and then I can just continue. And right here, I can directly, specify my process to customer have an upsell conversation. And then you can designate who's going to. So if it's going to go directly to the success manager, maybe sales manager, you can decide who it's assigned by. You give it priority. It could be high, normal, or low. And then you can give it a due date. So how many days after the task is created does the CSM have to complete it? So maybe I'll give them 5 days. And once I'm done, I can click on continue. I get a preview of my success play, and I can activate it directly from here. So if I click on activate, it's actually going to tell me how many tasks are going to be created and how many accounts are going to be affected. And when I click on continue, my CSMs will get that email. They'll also get that notification through their My Portfolio section, and they'll be able to execute and hopefully get some upsells under their belt. So that's the success plays part. With the campaigns, this is the email communication. So I think this is a really great way to offload some of the manual work and have your team actually directly, kind of hands-off way get some upsells done. Or maybe there's some other processes that you want to build with campaigns based on the specific fluctuations that the metrics allow you to track. So let me just refresh here really quick. And go back to campaigns. All right, I do apologize. It's taking a little while to load this in a demo instance, but hopefully this will pull up for us and then we can do a quick campaign for you. Maybe not. So let's see. Let's go into segments again. All right. So with creating a campaign, it actually goes through a wizard. So you have a lot of little things that can kind of assist you in defining the actual campaign. So right now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to call this an upsell campaign, and I can give it a really description, kind of detailed description, or I'm just going to kind of copy paste this for now. And I have my options, so I can use a predefined template, or I can actually build my own custom campaign. So sometimes I just like to keep it pretty simple, plain text. So I'm going to do my upsell outreach as my own custom campaign. That's going to be plain text. From here, this is where I can either leverage the logic that I've already built in my segments, or I can start defining it from scratch directly from this UI. But if I want to save myself some time, I'm just going to go look for the list that I was already looking at that information. So what I like to use is in the account segments section is this capability. It's called is in list or is not in list. These are super time saver. So I'm going to do is in list, and I'm going to find my metrics. And this is the one that has average time increased by 30%. So I'm already going to bring in the customers and all the end users of those customers that are, have that average increase. Maybe I also want to only message to my key contacts because I'm doing an upsell campaign. So I want my key decision maker that can actually sign the order to look at this campaign. So, okay. So what you can do if you're tracking key contacts into Totango, if they're key contacts, Totango can automatically just email them instead of emailing everybody on that account. And the key contacts are designated with little crowns, and there's a section within the account profile where you can designate your key contacts. So now I have my key contacts identified. I can click on continue. I can give my campaign a goal. So for example, if the particular campaign that you're doing prompts the user to do something specific in your product, you can actually track that and measure against it. I think for an upsell, it's probably not so easy to do the goal because you're going to be processing that through your billing systems and getting more money from them. So it's a little bit of a different. But if you're looking at some goals criteria as far as getting the customer to use more of certain feature functionality in your product, then the goals are definitely a great way to do that. Now I can give my email a subject. I can decide who it's coming from. So it doesn't have to come from me. It can come from somebody else. Or it can come directly from their success manager or sales manager assigned to that particular account. But let's say it's going to come from me. I'm going to choose my template. And this is where I can just edit the text. So I can make it very customized. I can make it go directly to my specific individual and their first name. So I can find my attribute that's tracking their name. I can bring it here. I can also have a fallback. So if I don't have a first name for some reason, I can just say hi there. And you can do this with any data. So you can actually, any data that is being sent to Totango as attributes, you can infuse that into the email message. So by looking at this add data, you can bring in any of the data points. So they can be either on the account level or they can be on the user level. So, if there's something specific on an account, maybe they're of a certain tier of a customer, and you can say, hi, you're one of our, enterprise customers, and, we're sending this to you, and you can actually expose how much of something they've done, and kind of those counters or those metrics. And that way, whoever's reading the email, the message resonates with them because it's very specific to them. So that's something you can use to customize. Once you're happy with your message, I'm not going to edit the text here, but you can edit the text, you can preview the text, you can send yourself test emails. And when you're ready to send, basically, you're just going to define when it's going out. So you can send it as a one-time campaign. You can send it as a one scheduled for later, ongoing scheduled for later, or recurring. So these are all your options. And I think it really helps to automate some of these processes, things that can be done in an automated fashion. I think it helps optimize the team and their efforts overall. So those are all the ways that you can essentially leverage the metrics, by using all the components and capabilities and the powerful tools of Totango. That was kind of at the high level what I wanted to cover today. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and type them into the question window, and I'll try to grab as many as I can, or you can follow up with me after the session's over. But I'll give everybody a minute or so to get their questions typed in, and if we don't have any questions, we can adjourn for today and see you in another week or so for another webinar, or hang on for a couple minutes and we can discuss any questions that come up. All right, so we have one question. So someone's asking if there are any resources with example metrics. So let me see. Actually, what I wanted to point out, and that's a great question. Thanks for asking that. I wanted to show you where you can find some resources if you're looking for some other information or maybe some other content or examples. We have our knowledge base, and if you can just remember this URL, it's very easy. It's just support.totango.com. It takes you to this page. It's called the Totango Academy. It has a lot of different documents, and it also has a section for training, which is the one on the very right. And this is where you can find all of the on-demand sessions, any of the upcoming content, or any other webinars that are coming up. You can actually link to them from here. And we have done other webinars on metrics and things like that. So you may be able to find some information there. I can also look for some examples as well. And we've also started doing hot tips of the week. You may have seen these, and these are also recorded and posted here. So if you've missed them and want to look through, these are just quick little videos that show you some really cool ways to leverage some of the areas of Totango. So for example, we have the segments and the metrics already in here, so you can always go back to the metrics for more. And we will post the webinars that we host. All the recordings will be available here. We will kind of revamp the site a little bit and make it a little bit easier to navigate. But right now, this should be your place where if you're looking for more resources or more training, more tutorials that are on demand and recorded, or if you're looking for the upcoming sessions, which will have more available for you here to register for, feel free to come and browse through this area. In addition to, going to this general page where you have a lot of the solution guides and other resources on Totango as well. So I hope this is helpful. We also have a link to a calendar that will try to keep as up to date as possible with all the ongoing sessions and all the webinar dates so that you can stay on top of it and be involved with us as much as you'd like. So I hope that answers a question, and I'll follow up with any other example metrics. I can maybe take a quick screenshot of our demo. I think that one has a lot of good ones. And I think if there are no other questions, I think we'll wrap it up. We will see you again soon. We also have a lot of other webinars that are going to be published, so stay tuned. We'll announce them, and also feel free to check on the support site for any of the new updates. Thank you again for joining. I hope this was valuable, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.